Hello and welcome back to our channel, guys. Caught my son watching Teen Titans on his tab the other day, and oh boy, it felt like a time machine. Suddenly I was 10 again, sitting in front of the TV in pajamas and watching Robin yell the ultimate battle cry, "Titans, go!" But sadly, I am not 10 anymore, and with all these flashbacks came the memory of how Teen Titans actually ended. Disappointment 101. You know where I'm going with this one, right? The epilogue-themed last episode that came out of nowhere when we were all expecting a great final victory of the team to be the closure. Yeah, no, I wasn't happy, and guess what? Turns out there were talks of a 6th season, which wasn't renewed, and we have to live with Beast Boy's struggle of accepting reality. But why did a show as glorious and successful as the Teen Titans end on such an upsetting note? Let's find out.
They are my family. This is my home, and you are not.
The creation and glory of Teen Titans. The animated superhero comedy cum drama cartoon hit the screens on July 19, 2003, and immediately won our hearts. Teen Titans was not an original creation per se. Rather, it was primarily based on stories from the DC comic series of the same name. Back in 1964, in issue 54 of The Brave and the Bold, we got Robin, Aqualad, and Kid Flash teamed up, and though this is often cited as the team's first appearance, they weren't yet called the Teen Titans. Then in 1966, DC launched the comic series titled Teen Titans. However, if you look at the comic pages, you'll find that the Supes are not exactly kids, and the sharp animated faces were created for television by Glenn Murakami, David Slack, and Sam Register. But how did a team composed of Robin, Cyborg known for his power and technological knowledge, Flash, Beast Boy, a good-natured Joker who can transform into various animals, a quirky alien princess called Starfire, Raven, a stoic girl from the parallel world Azarath, who draws upon dark energy and psionic abilities, and Terra find a place in the cartoon world, and why did they choose Marv Wolfman and George Perez's 1980s version of the team? In an interview with Dr. Toon, Murakami said, Sam Register, who came aboard at Cartoon Network, was really interested in developing it since it was a comic he grew up reading. Then I was brought on board. I'm from that generation where those were the characters that I read about growing up too. That led to the decision as to why the 1980s Wolfman and Perez Titans were chosen. I think we wanted to portray characters that hadn't really been seen before, and we were trying to make something that was different from the Justice League. And as far as the adult themes of the comic were concerned, Murakami said that they broke down years of material into parts and created a cartoon not just for comic readers, but for those who would be introduced to Teen Titans through his cartoon. And that's how the superhero group led by Robin got produced by Warner Brothers Animation and premiered on Cartoon Network. The first 2 seasons also aired on Kids WB. So what was the show about? The Teen Titans' work was basic for any superhero team, fighting all sorts of criminal activities. However, the creators threw in ideas of friendship and adolescence in the show, which made it all the more relatable. They lived in a large T-shaped tower building known as Titan's Tower, and I literally dreamt of living there. Quarters? Training facilities? A command center? That too on an island just offshore from the west coast metropolis of Jump City? Ah! But you know what was even better than the tower? Teen Titans animation. It was not out-and-out anime, nor completely American in style, and Sam Register called it Murakanime. In Murakami's own words, when we talked about doing Teen Titans, we wanted to go in a different direction than what Bruce Timm had done with the other DC properties. We were fans of anime for years while working on the other shows, and it seemed natural to use that as the new direction to go in. Today's generation is growing up with Pokemon and all the shows now available on Cartoon Network, Cowboy Bebop, Gundam, and other things like that. I think they're used to that. When we were growing up, I think anime was considered really foreign, really different. I came in at like the tail end of The Amazing 3 and Gigantor. I grew up with Speed Racer and Kimba, and then in the 80s with Akira. It was kind of always there, but I think the direction Bruce wanted to go with Batman was a little more traditional, a little bit more pure. I had seen a lot of different things being done with anime, and I thought that was a wonderful opportunity to tell stories in a different way, a very stylistic way. so it just seems sort of natural that a hybrid would occur. However, the show's new visual style did raise some eyebrows, and the executive producer and Cartoon Network and Warner Brothers Animations, then Vice President Sam Register, responded, "Justice League is awesome and Samurai Jack is awesome, and we buy a lot of anime shows that are great, but those shows really are directed more towards the 9 to 14 age group, and the 6 and 7 and 8-year-olds were not gelling with the Justice League and some of the more of the fanboy shows. The main mission was making a good superhero show for kids. Now, if the fanboys happen to like the Teen Titans also, that's great, but that was not our mission." Personally, I have two favorite elements from this cartoon. One, the 60s feel it provided. Not exactly retro, you know, kind of like a mix of Nick Cardy's Titans with Wolfman Perez Titans. Second is Raven's goth style. Oh, how can I forget about the music? The opening song lives in my head rent-free. Teen Titans at its peak. If there's one thing Teen Titans absolutely nailed, it was the season-long story arcs. We would generally get random villains thrown in every week, but Teen Titans gave one Titan their moment to shine in each season. Almost. Sorry, Starfire. Your turn never really came. So in Season 1, the show introduced us to the biggest threat, Slade aka Deathstroke, and dude, he was creepy AF. His only goal was to manipulate Robin and turn him into his sidekick. Batman, where were you? Then came Season 2, and frankly, this is the one that broke all our hearts. This season adapted the famous Judas Contract storyline and gave us a new hero, Terra, who quickly became part of the Titans family. The only problem was that she was secretly working with Slade the whole time. Yep, my trust issues began here. Season 3 was all about Cyborg. While battling the villainous organization Hive and their leader, Brother Blood, Cyborg started feeling like he needed to prove himself outside the Titans. This eventually led to the formation of Titans East, a brand new superhero team featuring Aqualad, Speedy, Bumblebee, and the twin duo Mas y Menos. It's getting more dramatic. But hold on, things got way more intense in the 4th season when Raven's terrifying family issues became everyone's problem. Her demonic father, Trigon, wanted to enslave the Earth and basically bring about the end of the world. Murakami actually took meeting the parents to a whole new level. And finally, Season 5 gave Beast Boy the spotlight. The Titans teamed up with a whole roster of heroes to take on the Brotherhood of Evil. It caused one of the biggest battles the series had ever seen, and Titans Together is actually one of my favorite episodes. Talking about episodes I love, I have to mention The Beast Within. Seeing Beast Boy transform into a monstrous thing, yeesh, it was scary. Of course, the success of Teen Titans wasn't limited to television, and during its run, the series earned several award nominations and turned into a full-blown franchise. The end. The apocalypse that felt like a finale. You know what? Teen Titans was originally planned for 4 seasons, but it became so popular that the Cartoon Network ordered another season, and that's exactly why the 3-part episode of Season 4 titled The End felt like a finale. The entire season focused on Raven and her fear of her father, Trigon, returning. Oh, we also had a looming prophecy, which dictated that Raven, being the daughter of the demon, was destined to act as the living portal used to bring him to Earth and terminate all mortal life. I might forget rhymes, but this: the gem was born of evil's fire, the gem shall be his portal. He comes to claim, he comes to sire, the end of all things mortal, is etched in my mind. This season was based on the Terror of Trigon comic and is considered to be one of the darkest seasons. Coming to the final episodes, in the first part, Raven discovered that the day she feared the most had come, when she woke up to find Trigon's mark burning into her arms. The episode began with Slade and Trigon discussing the end of the world like they were in a quick G-Meet call. Trigon ordered Slade to bring Raven to him and promised that he'd finally get his reward. Of course, Slade accepted and happily declared that it was a beautiful day for the apocalypse. Uh-oh, none of us wanted to hear that. Raven, on the other hand, was living through the toughest day of her life, and frankly, her pain hit us, even as kids. She decided to spend what could have been everyone's last day making her friends happy. Raven cooked breakfast, tried to be extra kind, and even joined the others for activities around the city. Gotta go grab my tissue box. The Titans were confused because Raven seemed a little too friendly, but Robin could tell she was genuinely trying. Things took a dark turn quite literally when a solar eclipse suddenly darkened the sky and the mark of Trigon appeared on Raven's arm. Poor Raven's secret was finally out and the Titans learned about the prophecy. Sadly, they did not know how to react to such a truth bomb and immediately locked her inside a special containment chamber, but nonetheless refused to give up on her. Enter Slade with his army of fire demons. The Titans threw everything they had at him, but over time they were losing energy. Meanwhile, Trigon began threatening Raven's friends, forcing her to surrender herself. Though she went ahead with Slade, she warned him that Trigon would not keep his end of the bargain. Surprise, surprise, she was absolutely right. Once Raven was delivered, Trigon immediately got rid of Slade like yesterday's newspaper. Karma right on your face. When he attacked Trigon, the latter just stripped him of his powers and tossed him aside. I mean, a deal with the devil or a world-ending demon in this case never goes right. The Titans tried their best and made one final Hail Mary to save Raven by reminding her that she did not have to let the prophecy control her, and for a moment it felt like their words might be able to change her mind. Raven even admitted that meeting them had changed her life and that all she wanted was to give them one perfect last day together, which led to one of the most emotional moments in the series, when Robin took her hand and told her that's what friends do. But Raven sadly replied that if they were truly her friends, they had to let her go. Before the Titans could stop her, she trapped them inside a force field and accepted her fate and sacrificed herself, opening the portal that summoned Trigon to Earth. Part 2 picked up right after Trigon's arrival, and trust me, the guy had no plan to procrastinate. He completely destroyed the Earth and oceans turned to lava, while almost every living person was transformed into stone. Thanks to Raven, who used the last of her power to protect her friends, making the Titans the only survivors. The Titans soon realized that Raven had also left behind a piece of her power, which encouraged them to confront Trigon. Unfortunately, even with their combined strength, they could not defeat Trigon, but an unexpected hand reached out to help: Slade. Obviously, nobody trusted him at first, but he convinced them that he knew a way to bring Raven back. Having no other option, Robin reluctantly teamed up with his greatest enemy, and over time, Slade's side of the story revealed why he came to aid the Titans. The other Titans, on the other hand, battled evil versions of themselves created by Trigon, and believe it or not, Murakami showed them confronting their deepest fears and insecurities. This was a cartoon, yet he pulled it off so damn well. Eventually, Robin reached a hidden temple where he hoped to find Raven, but instead he found a small frightened girl who looked exactly like her, and the episode ended on a cliffhanger. But yeah, we got it, that child was Raven. The third and final part wrapped up Raven's story in the best possible way and seemed like the perfect finale. Only if it was. While the Titans continued fighting Trigon and his forces, Robin focused on helping the child version of Raven recover her memories. Initially, she believed there was no hope left, but Robin kept on reminding her that her friends were still fighting no matter how impossible the odds seemed. Meanwhile, the other Titans managed to defeat the evil versions of themselves, and Slade finally regained his human body and joined the battle against Trigon. Finally, everyone reunited for one last attack, but even then, Trigon proved far too powerful. The Titans fell one by one, and soon Raven was left to face her father all alone. But that's when she finally realized something important. Trigon was never her family. The monks of Azorath who raised her and the Teen Titans who stood beside her through every nightmare were her real family. She pulled strength from that feeling and got back into her true form, with Raven unleashing her full power and screaming, "Azorath Metreon Zinthos!" Trigon was overpowered once and for all, and it also undid all the damage he had caused. This trilogy would have been the ideal way for Teen Titans to go, but apparently not quite enough for the network. Titans Worldwide, The Brotherhood of Evil, and The Big Victory. As I said, Season 5 was a bonus, and as fans, we were not complaining at first. Beast Boy's arc was definitely a treat, and the epic battle episode was indeed very Teen Titan coded. However, somewhere the narrative felt rushed, and frankly, if I reflect on it now, Season 5 will come across a step down from what the previous season offered. See, when Cartoon Network demanded new episodes, the makers had to scramble to put things together, and the focus of the show abruptly changed. Moreover, the main villains in this season, namely the Brotherhood of Evil and the Brain, were not really as scary as the prior antagonists. I mean, they gave us Slade and Trigon. What could possibly have surpassed them? Moreover, Cartoon Network pulled a stunt. According to the story editor, Rob Hoagie, we were slated to do 20 rather than the usual 13. Amy and I, along with David Slack and Glenn Murakami, mapped out a pretty ambitious season arc with 20 episodes. You have that luxury. After we planned everything out, it was, oh, by the way, now we're only doing 13. So we had to make some serious modifications to end up where we did. But the biggest letdown was the introduction of a whole bunch of new heroes. See, I fell in love with the 5 Titans, and I am sure most of you did too. They were the OG. Honestly, the new heroes never sparked that kind of an attachment, and what do you mean the Titans weren't living in the tower for the majority of the season? Them traveling around the globe and enlisting young heroes to build a worldwide network felt a little disconnected from what the show was. However, as I mentioned earlier, the Titans Together episode was delightful. Yes, things looked hopeless at first when most of the Titans were captured and the Brotherhood of Evil seemed to be winning, but Beast Boy saved the day. He teamed up with a few of the remaining heroes and managed to go on one final mission against the Brotherhood. But just when their defeat looked inevitable, Titans from across the world joined the fight. Cyborg, Raven, and Starfire too came in along with their respective teams. We got one of the most memorable all-out superhero brawls, with dozens of Titans taking down every villain the Brotherhood had recruited. Even the Brain and Monsieur Mala tried to escape, but they were captured and defeated. And in classic Beast Boy fashion, the whole thing ended with one terrible joke: brain freeze. Now, peace for Teen Titans didn't last long, and when a bank robbery was happening, Robin shouted, "Titans, go!" And there it was. Largest Titan team ever assembled, charging into action. And honestly, if Teen Titans had ended right there, I don't think anyone would have complained. But what our young minds could not process was the actual last episode, titled Things Change. The quiet ending that broke people's hearts. After defeating the Brotherhood of Evil, the Titans finally returned home, only to find that everything had changed and Beast Boy got the shock of his life when he spotted Terra alive in a crowd. He dropped everything and spent the whole episode trying to prove it was really her. Unfortunately, Terra did not remember him. She did not have any powers or memories, and worst of all, she had no interest in being a Titan again. Beast Boy tried really hard, you know, but Terra kept on saying that she was just a normal girl living a simple life. And that's where it hurts, because there was no grand battle to save Terra or no magical moment where all her memories came flooding back. Instead, she left Beast Boy with a message: things change. But by the end, Beast Boy finally accepted that he could no longer hold on to what used to be forever. So when Robin called for help, he let Terra go and ran back to his friends. With that, Teen Titans gave one of the most bittersweet endings I've ever seen in a cartoon. If you think about it, it was a deep ending, but it sucks because of two main reasons. One, Titans Together was a wholesome climactic episode, and two, bringing back Terra and leaving the episode on a cliffhanger felt unnecessary. But then again, Things Change was really all about showing that sometimes people and circumstances change, and no matter how much we wish otherwise, we can't always go back to the way things were. All we can do is accept it, let go, and keep moving forward. For a series finale, especially one aimed at kids, that's a surprisingly mature lesson to end on. However, they raised so many unnecessary questions, like how did Terra even come back, and what about Slade? We hoped for another season, and when we never got that, the Teen Titans finally left an unhappier mark. But here's the thing. Teen Titans did not exactly have a fully planned out 6th season. No, it wasn't sitting on a shelf somewhere waiting to be made. The writers already knew Season 5 would probably be the end, which is why they wrapped things up with Things Change. In fact, Hoagie later confirmed, "At the beginning of Season 5, we were told that it would be the last batch of episodes ordered." He further added, "Had a Season 6 been a serious possibility, we wouldn't have ended Season 5 the way we did." Yet, there were later discussions about reviving the series under a new banner called New Teen Titans. The idea would have expanded the roster and brought in new villains, as well as explored many of the heroes we met during Season 5. Unfortunately, the pitch never got approved, meaning the closest we ever got to Season 6 was a concept document and a lot of what-ifs. And by mid-November 2005, it was becoming increasingly clear that Teen Titans wasn't likely to return for another season. Fans were encouraged to show their support for the series, but soon afterward it was officially confirmed that Season 5 would be the end. Still, there was one last attempt to keep the franchise alive. After the 5th one wrapped up, producer Sam Register suggested revamping the show rather than merely continuing it. But Hoagie and producer David Slack had already moved on to other projects, and Glenn Murakami and Amy Wolfram were then tasked with putting together a pitch for a potential revival. Murakami even expressed interest in using characters like Phobia, Mr. Twister, and Ravager. Unfortunately, the pitch was ultimately rejected. As Hoagie later put it, there was an 11th hour possible reprieve, but it never came to pass. You know what's ironic? The themes of the finale kind of mirrored what was happening behind the scenes. Murakami said, "I liked the contrast. We did this really super huge, massive action story. And then we do this really tiny, small personal story. The show was always about change and shifting gears. It was about being unpredictable. And I like that. So that's the reason why we wanted that storytelling in Things Change. It's supposed to be thoughtful. It's supposed to be slow. It's funny because it seems self-explanatory to me. I mean, it does make sense when I'm looking at it as an adult, but the child in me still wants more. As for why exactly the show wasn't renewed, nobody seems to agree on a single answer. Some claim it was the declining ratings after the darker 4th season, which led to Season 6 never seeing the light of the day, while others believe that toy licensing issues between Mattel and Bandai hindered it. Trouble in Tokyo, the movie that feels like a goodbye. As it so happens that even Warner Bros. Animation 2 could not accept Things Change as the final chapter in Teen Titans' story. In September 2006, the studio released a film titled Teen Titans: Trouble in Tokyo, and many fans consider this to be the real finale of the series. The story began when the Titans come across this weird ninja called Psychotech, who ultimately led them all the way to Tokyo. There, the Titans started investigating a villain named Brushogun. Oh, also they had to deal with a city that wasn't really excited to have a group of foreign superheroes running around and causing damage. The movie was filled with equal parts mystery and vacay vibes. On one hand, Robin was chasing leads, while on the other hand, the rest of the Titans got to explore Tokyo, leading to plenty of fun moments that proved why this team was so lovable in the first place. However, underneath all the lightheartedness and touristy feel, there was a larger conspiracy, and yes, the Titans managed to celebrate in the end. Pretty common Teen Titans stuff, right? But come on. The plot was barely the reason most people loved this movie. We remember it because the heart of Trouble in Tokyo was none other than the chemistry between Robin and Starfire. We saw them flirting awkwardly for years, and right when we thought they were gonna finally confess, it never happened until this movie finally made it happen. But the most important idea Trouble in Tokyo conveyed was that no matter how dangerous situations get, the Titans would always have each other's backs. True, it did not answer the questions that popped up in Things Change about Terra or anything like that, but it did give us one hell of a final adventure where the Titans stood together and showed who they really were. And deep down, when we saw the bright happy faces we saw before the credits rolled, some of us got the much awaited goodbye that the cartoon never gave. The comics that gave Terra a quiet ending. So did we ever get an answer to Terra's abrupt return in the last episode after becoming a statue in Season 2? Well, we do have a very satisfying conclusion to the Terra Beast Boy storyline, but all of it happened inside comic book pages. See, when the animated show began, a comic series called the Teen Titans Go debuted alongside and maintained the show's established universe. Now, issue 51 of this comic by Jay Torres, titled Metamorphosis, was released not long after the cartoon's finale. In this story, we met Terra's brother, Geoforce, who came to the Titan's Tower to look for his sister. And then he gives us a detailed backstory of Terra, who was a princess of Markovia, and how she escaped after experiments granted her powers to manipulate Earth. But Geoforce had no idea that Terra was no longer a Titan, and finally Beast Boy informed him about her whereabouts. Geoforce and Beast Boy then arrived at Terra's school and were super happy to catch a glimpse of her. However, Geoforce soon realized how happy Terra looked with her friends. He thus chose not to speak to her and consoled himself, saying, "She looks happy. I can't even recall the last time I saw her smile." Geoforce and Beast Boy left Terra to live her normal life, but when he flew off, Terra noticed him and quietly smiled. The unconditional love here still melts my heart. To be fair, this issue was indeed an amazing conclusion to the series because it finally gave some closure to where Things Change left off. Sure, it did not explain why or how Terra was back, but still, it tied up some loose ends and allowed Terra to have a new life away from Slade, or the Titans and the memories of her past. See, I agree that this issue might not be able to fill all the gaps that the sudden cancellation of the show created, but it did deliver an emotionally satisfying ending to Terra's arc. Sadly, this epilogue has not received much recognition when the criticisms for Things Change were rising, and I guess it's time we look at things a little differently. Teen Titans Go! Crossovers and Legacy. Teen Titans was no longer a milestone cartoon for us millennials because in 2013, Cartoon Network released a new series named Teen Titans Go! Yeah, I was a grown-up adult by then, but whatever moments I caught on TV, there are two things I want to say. Firstly, thank you, CN, for bringing back the OG Titans. Secondly, why did you have to completely change the format? This is where it felt unfamiliar. Murakami's mature, gritty animation was traded for overly childish-looking Robin or Beast Boy. And the thing about focusing on one story arc per season with a major world-ending threat in the corner? That was gone too. Teen Titans Go! Leaned towards a comedy, or rather a parody, to show what happens every day when 5 chaotic teenagers live together. I mean, sure, for the new generation kids, seeing the Titans destroying the Batmobile while also serving the city at times might have been a pleasure. But for lovers of the original one, this show felt a little too juvenile and barely resonated the 2003 show's tone. The disappointment grew stronger because many fans had spent years hoping that they would get a proper continuation of the 2003 Teen Titans. So when they were handed a goofy comedy show, it pretty much invited the backlash. However, rather than turning a dead ear to the criticisms, Teen Titans Go! Ended up accepting them and began poking fun at itself. The show even referenced the original series every now and then, and that's where I give it credit. Cut to 6 years later, Warner Brothers thought of cashing on the Teen Titans vs. Teen Titans Go! Sentiment, and in 2019 released a crossover movie. Directed by Jeff Mednicow, the film officially brought the 2003 Titans and their Go! Together as heroes from separate universes. This was a huge moment for old fans because after more than a decade when Teen Titans ended, we saw them back in action all over again. And the fact that they stood together shoulder to shoulder with their comedic counterparts was the cherry on the top. It proved that their story still mattered. Members of the cast too knew how important a moment it was, and while promoting the film, Terra Strong, who voiced Raven, reassured viewers that fans of the original show and the new series won't be disappointed. And boy was she right. But you know what's the best part about Teen Titans Legacy? Finding crumbs of information here and there. In 2021, details about a rejected pitch for new Teen Titans revival surfaced online. It gave fans a clear idea that the show's future is uncertain, but somewhere a little spark of hope too, that someday the Titans will be back. The original idea for the new Teen Titans was to feature a larger cast and expand storylines beyond the original team. One abandoned plotline even planned to reveal the true identity of the mysterious white creature from Things Change, finally answering a question that has given us sleepless nights for years. Whether we catch a glimpse of Teen Titans in modern DC projects or not is a different thing, because we all know its legacy is unmatched. But coming to how the show actually ended, I guess with time I see the point Murakami was trying to make. Yes, it was a little too intense for kids who found it hard to look beyond glorious fights, but the fact that things do and will change no matter what is an undeniable truth. I will definitely not be happy about Cartoon Network reducing episode numbers in the last season, or the 6th season never happening, but still, Things Change as a finale is making more and more sense. Also, probably Teen Titans prepared us to live through the Game of Thrones ending. Anyway, do let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you like this video, hit the bell icon. Toodles!